Good morning and happy Wednesday to everybody. So good to see you. We will let people unmute and you can say where you're calling in from. We'd love to.
Calling in from California. Hi, Carla.
Hey.
Sweden.
Belgium.
So from Denmark.
Ireland. Ireland. Yay.
Norway.
Greeting from
From
Switzerland.
Germany.
Norway.
Switzerland.
Calling in from Southern California.
Switzerland.
South
Germany.
Germany.
Calling in from Switzerland.
Canada.
Lasagna from Mexico City.
Mexico.
I'm from California.
Oh my God.
Missouri.
Chicago.
New York.
Australia.
Greetings from Nigeria.
Nigeria. Wow.
Florida.
Finland.
And Finland.
California.
Hi from Mexico.
Message.
Florida.
Hi from Switzerland.
Miami.
Germany.
Woohoo.
Australia.
Wow.
Texas.
Hey, from Oklahoma City.
Welcome, welcome. Love it.
Canada, Ontario.
Wonderful. Well, I can hear it's calling in from all over the place. That is incredible. You know, every week we are on here talking to our Zenzino family, and this is a global community of people on a mission to really make an impact. We are on our way to 100 million customers here with some fantastic products we have and a mission of really making a difference in people's health and their wealth. And Zenzino is in growth stage right now. We have been on the rise for so long, and we're not stopping here. The momentum is growing, and we're actually coming into the momentum season. The fall is every year I have been involved. My name is Carla Muska. If you don't know, I have been with Zenzino 16 years. And in those 16 years, there has been a pattern of when this momentum really kicks in, and it is here throughout August, but especially September, October, November. And many of us have been spending each of those times doing a 90-day run. I learned how to do a 90-day run when our guest speaker started to discuss this many years ago, and I was in a 90-day run with her. I learned so much. We've been doing this each time, and we can really see this is where the growth happens. This is where people that have had success, they almost always go back and say, this is exactly when the change is made. This is when I made a decision. This is when the boost came. And so we are going to do a call today to talk about what are 90-day runs. Why should we be doing them? What are you going to get out of them? What can you be learning from them? What can you really be achieving? And from the leader herself, the gal that I so look up to, my mentor, our co-founder, Miss Hilde Rismyhr Saele. Hello, Hilde.
Hello, my dear friend. It is such a pleasure to join in on this call and to see each and every one of you from all across the world. I hope that each and every one of you have had a good summer and that you are ready for this special season. And before going into anything, I just want to say, Carla, you are just doing such an incredible job. I think that you've been hosting these live calls for way over a decade now, which is incredible, right? And the way you are leading with consistency and just doing such an incredible job with your team, but also inviting everyone else in is not just a benefit, you know, for your team. It's truly a benefit for the entire company. So we are so, so grateful to you, Carla.
Thank you, Hilda. And we are one team, Team Zinzino. It is one family and one mission. And I love to see everybody at our events too. And we're looking forward to upcoming Oslo to really get the family gathering reunion together. But it really is when somebody else and other teams have success, it is a success for all of us. So we can root each other on with that, and we can feel that through all the recognition we're having. And Hilda, we're coming into some recognition time because this is really prime time for growth.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we will touch on today, that's the main topic, like Carla said, it's how we conduct and host a 90-day run. So basically, for some of you, this is just going to be pure repetition, right? Because you've been doing multiple 90-day runs for yourself. You've been leading your teams through doing it also. So you've created that duplication. For some of you, maybe this is brand new, right? And then for some of you, maybe you've done it yourself, but you've never led your team through it. So the things that I really would like to cover during our time together is, first of all, why this could be useful, the benefits that you can get from it. Secondly, we're going to go into some how-to, some instructions. And then last but not least, we're going to touch on 4 specific areas that I really do believe is important to prepare for in relation to the season that we're now stepping into. Because like Carla said, this is the peak season, you know? I don't know why it is this way, but every single year, even though we're growing consistently throughout the year, usually the high season is between May and November, and the peak season is September, October, and November. So I think that this is really a perfect pick of subject for this specific call, Carla. Now, before I go into the teaching, let me ask you a question that I want you to ponder a little bit about. How many meetings would happen in your team if someone didn't conduct it? How many meetings would happen in your team if someone did not orchestrate it? Now, this is a good question to have a good answer to, because there is always someone that has to be involved in creating the results that we truly want. Now, the subject for this year is ambition. And one of the things that you've probably heard me say several times is that ambition drives behavior. But a bigger question is really this: who becomes more ambitious because of you? Because ambition isn't just personal. It's not just related to what you want. It's actually deeply connected to your leadership. And whether you like it or not, people are either getting strengthened by your ambition or limited by your lack of ambition. So I want you to play with me for a second, and I want you to think about someone that you have in your team or in your life that maybe is not necessarily the definition of ambition, right? That is not necessarily so hungry, which is okay as well. You know, we all have some of those people around us. Now, if this person is left alone, most likely it's not going to happen very much. However, under the right leadership, this person can grow 10 times. Now, if you think about the total opposite, like someone in your team that is super ambitious or outside, you know, in your life, that is really hungry, that is always one step ahead, that is always, you know, the one that are doing things without you needing to remind them. Now, left alone, this person will probably grow no matter what. However, under the right leadership, well, this person's growth isn't going to be incremental. It can be exponential. Maybe this person can even go 100 times up. But here, my friends, is the uncomfortable truth. If a really ambitious someone is working together with a ambitious leader, 1 out of 3 things happen. Either they lose their ambition, they outgrow you, or they figure out something else to do. Now, if a non-ambitious person is working together with a non-ambitious leader, nothing will happen. They will stay where they are, right? So ambition isn't just luck. It's not talent. It's not random. It's actually deeply connected to leadership. And that is why I very often say that we got to be aware of our input. Because again, you are the average of your 5 closest friends, what you read, what you listen to, and the environment that you choose. Now, if we flip that around, your team, therefore, becomes the average of you. Now, your energy, your thinking, your standards, basically your ambition. Now, for those of you that have not heard me speak before, I started this profession when I was 20 years old. And actually, the first book that I read inside of our profession was 90 Days to Win. And, you know, I liked this book so much. I liked the author so much that I ended up actually marrying him, right? The rest is history. But anyway, you know, to go a little bit more into my journey, I was not a talent when I got started. I was actually not so good. My first month, I had 70 meetings. I got 63 no's, 7 said yes. But then 3 out of the 7 returned their kids, and I was left with 4. Now, the first person quit, second one quit, third one quit, fourth one was working for a little while, and then magically went away. And even though I was consistent in my effort, month 2, month 3, month 4, at month 4, you know, I was just really sick and tired, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to do this anymore. So to make a long story short, kind of like a last gasp of air, I ended up making a pro and con list, whether or not I would continue. And surely we all understand which list was longer, but I also understood that if I was going to have any chance succeeding with this, because I really wanted to make it work, I had to be my #1 project. Now, you've probably heard the saying, show me your habits and I can predict your results. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? Success is usually found in consistency, in your habits over time. So I landed on some habits that I held myself accountable to. And 2 of them was basically that I committed myself to read 10 pages every day to grow my mindset, as well as I committed myself to do 10 meetings every week. So that became kind of like my framework. Now, a lot of people are asking, so what's your secret? And Orion and myself, we don't necessarily have any secrets. We try to share all of our secrets, right? Consistency, I think, is the #1 secret. And I think this is the secret, you know, for any success that are being created, whether you have talking about, you know, nutrition, or to grow your fitness level, or to learn to play an instrument really well, or to learn a new language, or to build a really successful business. Everything boils down to consistency. However, what I can also say is that usually once or twice every single year, both Orion and myself have gone for a 90-day run where we drastically upper the pace, drastically upper the amount of hours, conversations, to create the urgency to really create the results that we wanted. Now, I'm an old, I'm 46. I feel young. But anyway, I'm an old aerobic instructor, personal trainer. And if you go to the gym to work out and you lift the same weights, you know, again and again and again, well, you will surely stay in shape, right? But I would say that if you just continue lifting the same weights, well, you will notice that your progress at one point will slow down. Now, if you want to get stronger, you want to challenge your muscles to go beyond what it's used to lifting, right? So that means adding more weight, adding more resistance, adding more intensity. And at first, during a period of time, it's going to be a struggle. And this will ask a little bit more from you. However, if you stay with it, your body adapts and will become, as a result, stronger. Now, our business very often works the same way. So when you go for a 90-day run and you intentionally over the season are upping the amount of calls, conversations, maybe you follow up a little bit faster, you show up a little bit more consistently, you show up with more urgency, this is not just going to affect your own result, it's actually going to affect layers of generations in your team, because there is going to be so many things happening that suddenly you can't be the hero of your business anymore. You can't be involved in all of the meetings. So therefore, your leaders have to step up to responsibility. And that is what we all want. We want duplication, and we want to create competent leaders. But the only way to do that is to actually have enough things going on. And when your team are then seeing the increase of your activity, your focus, your urgency, they automatically get the permission to do the same. So if there is like one thing that I really want you to get from this conversation, or it's not really a conversation, it's a monologue, I'm sorry. It's really this, that consistency will keep you in shape, but intensity will take you to a higher level. So when you change your pace, you change automatically the pace of your team. Now in 2007, I remember that Orion and I, we were in a place where we were not really so happy about our company's results. And I think we all at one point, we've gone through a season where it's not necessarily going so well, and you're like, oh, is this really worth it, right? And this was kind of like one of those conversations where both of us, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to tell you, but we were a little bit, we were just a little fed up, to be quite honest with you. And it became like this negative spiral. So we were like, is it the products that we're working with? Is it our leaders? Is it the people that we have hired in the office? What is wrong with this? And then it took us about an hour. And then I remember I turned to Orion and I said, honey, I think we're pointing our finger at everyone else. There is actually 3 fingers pointing back at us. Now, if we are the problem, we're probably also the solution, because again, we are to blame for not producing the results that we want. So there and then we decided, like I said, if we're the problem, we got to be the solution. And for the upcoming then 30 days, we decided to drastically go out and bring in a lot more personal customers. And it wasn't necessarily like a super lot. It was like 20, we brought in 25 personal customers, each of us, during the upcoming 30 days. But what really changed the dynamic of everything was that each of us also brought in between 10 and 15 really high quality prospects that became partners. And I think that if I look back at different seasons and I look back at our leaders today, there is so many of our leaders today where I can say, if I didn't do what I then did, this person wouldn't be here today. Maybe you have the same, right? If you can look back and you can say, if I did not do what I then did, this person wouldn't be in my business today. So I think that what happens is that, yes, it's going to bring in more people when you totally get committed and focused to go for it, but it's also going to create that ripple effect in your team where suddenly, like I said earlier, more leaders are rising to responsibility, and those that you actually bring in are managing to build the business that they truly want. So one of the things that is strange about this profession is that it can be hard to build this slow pace, but it can be very easy when you upper the pace and you increase the urgency. So after doing multiple runs for many, many years, I talked about it, I educated about it, but then one of the things that I saw again and again was that there was people who were surely successful with it, but then it was a lot of people who started and then they stopped. And they stopped usually after about 30 days in. They got impatient. So therefore, I started to experiment, and I said to myself, if I could lead a group through this with this change, the dynamic, will I get people to actually finish what they started, where they actually finished the 90-day run with the intensified effort? And after testing this out for a couple of years, we launched it in 2017, I think, for our leaders. And what's been incredible is to see the duplication of this throughout the entire organization. And this is probably one of the things that, you know, is one of the big secrets for many teams' success. So before going into the 4-step formula and the different things that I believe is important for you to prepare upon, I want to just give you a simple framework, a system. Let me see here. So I'm going to share some slides. So basically, if you decide to host a 90-day run where you are the leader, then you want to handpick 8 to 12 people. I believe 10 is probably the better number, but between 8 and 12 is pretty okay. Now, the reason why you want to keep it small is basically because the success of these meetings is not just going to be found in what you share or what the speaker of the meeting are sharing, depending on who you bring in. It's going to be from the sharing part of the meeting, where the people who are in the group are sharing their best practices. So again, if it becomes too big, it's going to be very difficult to actually keep it on time. Now, number 2, you want to protect the time. So you want to do it same time every week, maximum 30 to 60 minutes. So you want to keep it to maximum an hour. And then you want to show up and level up. So you want to come prepared, participate, and contribute, and be fully all in, I would say, committed to finish what you started, and also ask the same from everyone that is a part of the group. And then number 4, it's important to stay connected. So one of the things that I recommend to do is to create a WhatsApp group or a messenger group. And the intention behind this group is surely that you can share information. Maybe you can ask people to prepare what they're going to share upon from time to time. But it's also that the participants in the group can kind of motivate each other by what they're doing each day. So it's quite, you know, fascinating and fun when the group is ticking constantly and someone is saying, did another meeting, another partner, another customer coming in, 4 more meetings booked. You know, there is something happening, and it's a positive, I would say, peer pressure. Number 5, you want to follow a simple structure. So first of all, I recommend that you have a host that will be the leader who are initiating the group. Right? And the start of the meeting would usually then be maybe a lesson from the week, a short story with a short learning nugget. Now, number 2 will be the sharing part. Maybe that would be goals. Like, for instance, now a lot of people are starting their 90-day runs now. They're in the preparation phase. We're going to go back to that soon. But then maybe it's your expectation, what you're aiming for. It might be, sometimes it could be, you know, what you've been doing the last week. I would say that the sharing part should always include some IPA, so income producing activity, talking about what kind of activity have I done last week? What's the goal for the next week? The main intention for this group is to upper the activity. Because when you upper the numbers, you will automatically improve the results, right? So it's basically different things from time to time, depending on the focus. The education part, I'm going to get back to, but it's the main thing here is to basically run through the entire pipeline and ensure that each team member of this group becomes competent on all 10 steps of the pipeline. And then last but not least, it's always going to include a call to action. Number 6, we want to own it together, which basically means a collective responsibility for the energy, the growth, and the results. Now, one of the things that I normally say is that virus has a tendency to spread fast. Now, do we all have a bad day someday? Sure, we all do. We all have those times, right? But this is not the group to complain to, right? So if you have a bad meeting, things is not necessarily working out in your favor, it might be okay to share it, but you want to include a learning nugget from it, how you will act differently the next time. You want to make sure that you are collectively responsible for your teammates' success and energy throughout this race. And then last but not least, you want to protect the circle. What is shared inside of the group stays inside of the group. Now, the education part can be a little different depending on the leaders who are in this group. If you want kind of like a very clear approximate framework of what you can use, you can go to GoCore, the app. If you haven't downloaded it, you download it, right? And then you search for 90-day run and you will get the speech I think I did in 2017. So you can run through that. But the main thing here is that as the leader, you want to run through these 7 steps, which is the main steps we all need to be competent on within our business. You want to run through how to find prospects. How do we work with our warm list, our hot list, our cold list? How do we invite over phone, over chat, you know, which messages? How do you present? What's a good opening? How do you find the need? How do you transfer the feeling? How do you follow up? What do you do if someone is canceling the follow-up? How do you rebook the follow-up? How do you close? What questions could be useful to ask? How do you handle objections? How do you get someone new started, onboarded? How do you follow through that people are actually creating the foster into real results, right? How do you promote? So there could be different topics. And I know that for some of you who might hear this for the first time, you're like, oh, that's a lot of things. I don't know if I can educate on all of this. But the key is, as long as you have a little bit of experience, I do believe you can. And you can prepare a little bit in front of every meeting. If you're unsure, you want to reach out to someone that can help you. And as a benefit of it all, you're going to be really good on these subjects by the end of this race. Now, surely, if you're brand new, I would surely encourage you to be a part of someone else's group. You can also reach out to your upline, have your upline involved, you know, as a mentor and educate. So there is all kinds of ways to do this, but the most important thing is really to educate on the basics. So I think at this point, it's really about making a clear decision that you want to do this and then preparing. So this is really about, you know, an all-in focus over a certain amount of days. It's not going to be forever. It's for 90 days. Now, the preparation consists of different things. This is the 4-step formula, right? But I also would say now that we are at the end of August. So we have, let's see, 6 days to close out August. So one of the things that you might consider is actually one of the things that one of our leaders suggested here on the director call. Michael Stuttler, he's the president in Zinzino, and he was giving some tips what his team is doing during this phase where they're prepping for the 90-day run. And what they have been doing is that everyone in the team that is going to participate in these groups, they are opening 10 conversations each day for the last 10 days of August. Now, we have 6 days, right? So if you got started today, open up 60 conversations before the end of this month. It's going to give you a head start 1st of September. If 10 people in your team are doing the same, suddenly we're up to 600 open conversations. If 100 people are doing the same, then you're up to 6,000 conversations that your team will be starting with. So I think that getting in action now and not waiting is essential. Then you want to set a goal, right? And when it comes to the goal, I think that one of the things that is important here is that it has to be big enough so that it tickles a little bit, it gives you a little butterflies, but it should also be realistic enough so that you actually believe in it. Now, this is a fine balance, right? So the goal should be smart, specific, measurable, attractive, real, and time specific. Now, it could be linked to maybe a certain amount of money that you would like to earn during this season. It could be linked to a specific rank and recognition. It could be linked to something totally different. But the point is that it matters to you. It has to be meaningful to you, because everything starts with why. And if you don't really have a clear reason for why you're going to do this, it's going to be difficult to prioritize the time. Now, there are 4 areas that I always recommend people to set a goal upon that is very directly linked to the Zinzino business. Number 1, you want to set a personal target on customers. How many personal customers are you going to bring in during these 90 days? Number 2, personal partners. How many personal partners do you plan on enrolling during this race? Number 3, you want to set a goal on a rank, or at least a certain amount of credits that you're aiming for during the race. And then number 4, you want to set a goal for T number. How many customers in balance do you plan to aim for in your organization in total between you and all of the partners by the end of this race? And then you want to ask yourself the following question. From these 4, even though I'm going to hold myself accountable on all of these 4, what are the most important goal? Now, the most important goal. So if I don't hit everything, this at least is the most important goal. Number 2, you want to make the plan. The people that are in these different groups need to be all in. Now, what do I mean about all in? Do you need to let everything else go and just focus on this? Absolutely not, right? Many of you have children, you have a family, you have a day job, you have different things to take care of as well. So I'm not asking for that. But what I am asking for is that if you work part-time and you normally spend 15 hours a week, this is the time to upper to maybe 22 to 25 hours a week. Forever? No. For a season? Yes, because you got to be willing to invest more to get more out of it. If you are full-time and you normally spend, let's say, 40 hours consistently, this is the time to upper the pace to 60 hours, or maybe even 70 hours, or even more, depending on how much you want, right? So you got to be willing to invest more hours. Now, I think one of the things that are so important in this is that you sit down together with your family, because you want their permission. You don't want to just do your own thing, right? So you want to talk with your children. You want to talk with your spouse have their understanding, share the goals, how this will benefit your family, and maybe also create a little bit of a prize of what the family can do when you manage to hit the goal, right? Because it's not just your victory, then it's going to be the family's victory. And then last but not least, you want to break down the numbers, right? So you want to, if it's a certain rank, you know it's very specific, right? Then you want to break it down into, if I'm going to hit this rank by the end of November, where do I need to be by end of October? Where do I need to be by end of September? What does this mean in terms of me going all in of enrollment now during September? I would say that if you're planning to hit a higher rank, September is going to be crucial for you to really put in a lot of effort enrolling a lot of personal partners. And then you want to break it down into focusing on the first month first, right? So you break down the numbers, you divide it in weeks. You know that normally a lot of people, they believe that 15th is the month, is the middle of the month. No, it's actually not. Normally, actually, in Zinzino, we often see that those people who are really running, very often around 22nd or 23rd each month, is kind of like the middle part of the month. So you can expect, you know, a doubling of the volume, right? So you want to break it down. You want to get help, talk with the leaders around you who have been doing this before, so that you get advice along the way. And you want to break it down, not just in partner contracts, customer contracts, you want to also break it down into activity. If you normally need to have 5 meetings to sign up one partner, well, then it's very easy, right? But you have to calculate and also break down those numbers, because again, it all starts with activity. Number 3. We want to define the inner circle. And the inner circle is basically the people that you commit to help throughout this race. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about this profession is the following. When I help people rise, I can rise in the process. And I think that for a lot of people, sometimes this is actually maybe easier than to just fight for your own goals, right? So one of the things that I really recommend is to identify 5 people that you totally commit to set a goal with, make a plan with, and go all in with throughout this race. And one of the things that I think is very important in this is that you got to act on as their coach. It's not just going to be checking in, right? It's going to be guiding them, asking them questions, helping them over their hurdles to ensure that they will win. And then last but not least, we need the game plan. And I think that everything in our business starts with taillights, right? You got to show taillights to be able to be the leader that other people want to follow. So that basically means you bringing in the partners yourself, right? Because when you are out presenting, you become sharper in your messaging. There's a lot of leaders on this call that could easily just fill up their entire calendar with meetings together with their teams. And I think that is very important as well. So don't misunderstand me. If you're the opposite and you only do your own meetings and you forget about your team's meetings, you're going to be, do the opposite, right? But I think for a lot of people, it's really that focus on being all in yourself. So you want to set aside time in your calendar to prospect and bring in personal partners. And then you want to be connected to the people in your group and those people that you have committed to help rise. Now, there is a big difference between being someone's mentor and someone's coach. And I really want you to get this. Now, how I see a lot of people act around their team is that they are their mentor, right? So they give good advice based on their own personal experience. And that is useful. And I would absolutely encourage you to continue on doing that. But I also want you to be people's coach. Because again, a coach will train you, will ask good questions, will challenge your assumptions. Sometimes you will also have a coach that will for sure, create that accountability that we're talking about in this specific group and help you what you need to do, help you on breaking down what you need to do next. So for you to actually have this work, you can't just meet up with people once a week and do a cool motivational talk. You got to be in contact daily with the people to help them overcome whatever they are struggling with. And then you want to check and adjust. Now, 3 of the questions that I always ask myself, usually at least once a week, right? But in these 90-day runs, I usually ask myself these questions every day. What did I do well today? What didn't go so well? And how can I implement what I learned during tomorrow? So you want to check and adjust fast. Like if you go to a meeting and you get a question that you can't answer, don't jump into the next meeting without finding the answer. So you want to make sure that you then get the answer, move on, so that you grow in the process. And last but not least, I really recommend you to work towards something. Now we have our international annual event in October, 4th weekend of October. It's going to be so good. It's going to be packed with lunches, educations, powerful speeches. I don't have the time to go into all of this here today, but you want to make sure that you purchase the ticket by the end of this month because the price is going to increase. So you want to make sure that you're there and that you bring your team to the event as well. You work from event to event. You want to work on the numbers because the more seats you fill, the more people will discover their why and see the big picture of what this business can do for them. Now, I've been speaking a lot here. I hope you're still with me and not falling asleep here. Everything starts with why, right? And I can tell you, I've seen people go from silver to director. I've seen people go from director to crown, I've seen people go to president during these 90-day runs. If they have a clear why, they are willing to invest the time, they're willing to let go of some of their fears and go all in. Now, everything starts with why. You've heard this said again and again and again. And one of the things that you hear Orion and I say, and as well as many of the leaders, is that we are aiming for 100 million customers, right, by 2050. That is our vision. And I think that it's so important that you have a clear target for where you are going. We are all about removing the guesswork out of nutrition and giving people solid proof. Now, many years back, I remember I was standing on our roof terrace in our old house, and it was a beautiful morning, and I remember the air was fresh and crisp, and I was standing there together with our son, Gabriel. At the time, he was 3 years. And Orion was still sleeping. It was my turn to wake up early. Gabriel has always had, this habit of waking up very, very early, as well as also our other kids, by the way. But anyway, as we were standing there, we were watching the sunrise. And I remember this moment so vividly because at one point he said, "Mama, I can't see anything." So I picked him up and I sat him on my shoulders. And as we were both standing there, in silence, suddenly Gabriel said, "Mama, I can look further than what my eyes can see." Now, to me, those words captures the essence of vision, to not just see what your physical eye can see, but to look beyond. Sight is a function of your eyes, but vision is a function of your heart. And nothing noble or worthy was ever created without the power of vision. No invention, no great feat was ever accomplished without this mysterious source. In many ways, the whole canvas of history is painted with this tradition-defying force. Whether we talk about cultural, architectural, scientific, medical, entrepreneurial advancements owe its concept to the birth of someone's vision. So your vision is the key to go from where you are to where you wish to go. It's definitely what's going to propel you to the land of how your life not yet is, but it has the potential to be. It will make the unseen visible and the unknown possible. So again, it starts with why. You've got to have a clear why for people to follow you. But then sometimes those visions are so grand that you can't, you just feel it's so far away. So then you got to ask yourself this powerful question: what excites me now? What excites me now? What is doable now? And then go all in on making that happen. Now, I can tell you what excites me now is to really finish this year super strong. And our ambition by the end of this year is to help 10,000 new people to 80, 5,000 new people to executive, 1,200 people to diamond, 300 people to crown. And I think also in the process, we're going to probably give birth to, I guess, around 20 or more presidents. But it starts with a clear decision. Now, again, consistency will keep you in shape, but intensity will take you to a new level, a higher level. So this season, you can maintain or you can level up and go 10 times up in results. So I strongly encourage you to decide upon your targets. At least, if you feel a little bit inspired by this, decide to go for a 90-day run yourself. And if you really feel it, this is the time for you to host one of these groups. Hopefully you've gotten some insights on how to do this successfully. And in the end here, I've been speaking now almost for an hour and I have another meeting in 10 minutes, but I just want to say that we are so honored to have you with us on this journey, and we appreciate each and every one of you so much. Thank you for all of the effort, for the trust, for the loyalty, and for being together with us on this journey. So let's go all in during this season, and I look forward to celebrate your victories.
Oh, Hilde, this is so powerful. I think everybody's excited. I think excitement is also a powerful asset when you're coming into the 90-day runs. And so having that goal and having a plan to get there is so important. But I want to just remind people of one thing, because I have done these for many years. I've done them with you. I've done them with my teams. And I have noticed a pattern. People set a goal, they're excited to get started. And you know how it always takes time to get going? Then some people are like, oh, I don't know if I should be on this week's call because I said I was going to do, 12 meetings and I only did 8, or they get a little discouraged. And I try to inoculate them saying, that's a normal time. Don't give up, because even if you're not hitting all of the goals, some of the goals come later. Like a lot of our team, we set these goals and then it started, they started hitting their titles again within some months after. So having struggles along the way, don't give up. I think that should always be never give up on your goals and your dreams. But I think that's a powerful thing to remind people of too.
I so agree, Carla. And actually, one of the things that I notice is that a lot of people want to give up a little, after the first month, because not everything happens immediately. Very often, I find that it's kind of like the ketchup effect. You have ketchup around the world, right? So you're shaking the bottle, there is nothing coming out, and then everything comes out, right? So very often, first month is challenging, right? but then you got to stick to it, not slow down on the activity. You want to upper the amount of activity, and then you want to continue. And very often the biggest breakthroughs that we see happen in month 2, month 3, and also, like you said, Carla, sometimes actually right after you kind of finished the run, because you now have so much going on in the team that now more people are taking ownership and duplicating the results within their own team. So important what you just said.
Yeah, and we always have people set their 90-day goals, but we also set a goal for September because there happens to be a pattern in the last couple of years that we're doing the ECBX month in September. So we have that
I
this year.
expect a lot of victory stories in September for sure.
Right. And then, so right now with a campaign, it would be everybody needs to have their ECBX because that's going to make a big difference in September too. So just want everyone to be focusing on that. And if you're doing 10 contacts, or starting dialogues every day, you're going to start doing some meetings, and that's going to make sure you get in your 8, the magic number 8, before the end of the month. So Hilda, I'm excited for this time. This is always like the fun time of the year. So I think having fun with it, making sure you're having fun with it, be involved in the groups, rooting each other on. And I think this is going to be Zinzino's record-breaking season. I'm not in doubt. And to remind everybody, by the time we're building it up in September and getting even more in October and then November, that's when you can't imagine what can happen. And when we come to the end of November, and then we know there's the Black Friday sales and all the different things that happen. So don't you think this is going to be the record-breaking time in the end of this year?
For sure. It is definitely going to be an amazing season, and we are really, really excited to go all in together with each and every one of you.
Well, I think we're all in. I'm going to let everybody unmute. Thank everybody for joining, and good luck on your 90-day run. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Queen.
Carla.
Thank you, Hilde.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for us.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate you.
Muchas
Thank you. That was
gracias.
awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
very much.
Hilda.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.